So here's the deal. If you have no problem with fear, if everything is going exactly how you want it to, your soul care is perfect, life is wonderful, fear is nothing but a distant speck on the horizon, this video is not for you. Hey, good morning. Welcome back to the channel. I say good morning because it is morning while I am filming this out in one of my favorite wilderness places near my house. I love coming out here. It's a good day. This is so much better than filming in downtown like I did last week. And that's not a shot to downtown. I'm not anti-city stuff. This is more my speed. This is more peaceful. Like, look at all of that out there. Even just the tree line against the shore. Like, so good. So good. Man, thank you for being here. Thank you for staying tuned in to the channel. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, do the likes, the notifications, the comments, do all those things so that hopefully you can stay tuned to more of what we're doing in the studio, man, because I love what we're doing. I love it because it's challenging me. Like, I'm just like everybody else. Just another human getting caught up in the algorithmic formula. You know, the last couple of weeks I've noticed I care an awful lot about numbers. And that bothers me. It bothers me terribly, actually. Because I didn't get into making this stuff for numbers. Like, I got into this because I wanted to make stuff that would be useful and novel and helpful. That's the whole point of creativity, man. It's like, I want to create things that are useful to people and beautiful, filled with life. And I don't want to make stuff to try and appease some overlord AI algorithm. Like, that's bullshit stuff. And coming out here reminds me of that. It reminds me to do what I was made to do. Make beautiful, useful things. So please, do the stuff. Hit the subscribe. Go over to Instagram. Follow what's going on over there. Some different artistic opportunities happening on that space. Stay tuned. Go to my website. Do all the stuff, man. Check out what we're doing, because art, if it is not seen, is not useful. My man Peter McKinnon talks about that. I don't say that because I know him. He's cool and he's somebody I pay attention to. But today what I really want to talk about is something that I personally have been wrestling with. And I find usually when I make content that at least dances on the edge of the bonfire of things that I am wrestling with, usually ends up being pretty good stuff. Today I want to talk about fear. I want to talk about fear because I think it is the one great thing, if not one of the many great things, but I think it's the one great thing that all of us as human beings are wrestling with. I've even been thinking about this in the biblical narrative. Like, I don't think Adam and Eve fell because of pride. I think that's part of it, sure. But I think they fell because of FOMO. I think the devil offered them an opportunity and they were afraid to miss out. And I think a lot of us feel that way. We're afraid to miss out. We're afraid that we'll do it wrong. We're afraid that it won't be perfect. We're afraid for this, that, the face, and the other thing. And I think a lot of us wish we weren't afraid. I think we wish we didn't have any fear, or worse, we put on this fake bravado about how we don't have fear. We are fearless. Look at us being fearless. It's like Bruce Wayne in The Dark Knight Rises. He thinks he's awesome because he doesn't have fear. He thinks he'll beat his enemy because he's fearless. He thinks he'll get out of the cave, out of his confinement, because he doesn't have fear. When in actuality, and this is one of the things I love about that movie, like it or not, it's a good movie. But it's not until Bruce embraces the reality that he has fear that he becomes strong. Let me say that again. It's not until he embraces the reality that he's afraid that he becomes strong. And it's not until he embraces his fears that he escapes the tyranny that he's been shackled in. And that's the trick. In embracing the reality that we're afraid. So if you want to overcome fear, you start by embracing the reality that you're afraid. But once you embrace that reality, you are free to fly like that butterfly right there. Once you embrace the reality that you're afraid, then you can actually move forward. But what does that look like? How do you embrace that? What do you do with that potential? Well, let's talk about that. So what are we supposed to do? Well, I think there's two truths first that we should probably establish. Number one, fear is a part of you. And that fear is your friend. Right? I think a lot of times we get wrapped up in this idea that, oh no, I'm afraid, I must remove from my person that fear. Or, on the other hand, this fear has become a tyrant that rules my life. Every freaking decision that I make is ruled by fear. And both of those are wrong. Because deep down, inside, fear is your friend. See, fear is that guy or girl that goes along on the journey with you, and his soul or her sole focus is to make sure you're okay. To try and do their best to keep you from experiencing pain. Really, way down deep inside, fear is trying to be your protector. They're trying to keep you out of harm's way. And the more we push against fear, whether it's a tyrant or something we have to get rid of, the more we push against it, the more we get wrapped up in a false belief that keeps us entangled in fearful actions. So don't do that. Embrace the reality. Fear is your friend. The second one is, fear has a voice. Fear has things it needs to say to you. And that, I believe, is the real core of this video. You need to let fear speak. Let it have its day in the sun. Let it say to you the things it's been trying to say to you over and over and over again. Let fear speak. I'll give you a real personal example with this. I've been doing, well, let me say it differently. I have been wading into the waters of photography as another opportunity for creative expression. You know, I do a lot of creative things: watercolor painting, iconography, poetry, writing, this, YouTube, business. Been doing a lot of things, and yet I always find this urge to experience other opportunities for creative expression. So I took up photography, and I love it. Oh my God, it's so fun. Like, I'm gonna leave here from filming this, and there's an old truck on the side of the road that way, and I'm gonna go shoot a bunch of photos because that thing looks cool and needs to be photographed. And I want people to see how beautiful this old rusted pickup truck is. And yet, since I started, I have been wrestling with fear like I have not experienced in a long time. Because I know if I want to do professional work as a photographer, which I want to do, then I am gonna have to put myself out there. I'm gonna have to email potential clients. I'm gonna have to share my work out in the public space. And every time I think about doing that, I get that tight, anxious feeling in my chest that tells me I'm facing my fear. And I could shove it down and pretend it's not there and get real busy doing stuff that makes it look like I'm active, all the while not progressing in my aspirations as a creative person. Or I could be tyrannized by my fear, put the camera away, not do anything photographic with my life, and just say, you know what, it's not gonna work out, I'm not even gonna try. I could do that. Both of those options are feasible. However, one of the things that I've done is I've let fear speak. And I've let it say what it needs to say. And I sat down, and for me that means getting out my journal, a good quality fountain pen, and let it out. Let it flow. I even went so far as to like doodle. Little fear me, little not fear me. With little cartoon bubbles. You know? Like, what do you want to talk about? And what I recognize is that my own fear as a friend is trying to get me to avoid being hurt, to avoid potential rejection, because rejection and the fear of it is something I am intimately attuned to. Freaking hate feeling that way. I don't like being rejected. I don't like rejection. I don't like the feelings that it brings up when it happens. But you know what? If I want to be a creative person, if I want my work to be out there being useful to other people, then I need to get past my freaking fear of rejection. But I can't do that by just shoving it in an internal soul bottle and moving on. I have to let it speak. Yeah, having your artistic work rejected hurts. But I can either experience the hurt as a part of my creative journey and hopefully learn from it and move on and get better, or I can let fear dictate my actions. I can not put my work out into the world, and I can hide in obscurity without any form of creative expression that helps people. I don't want to do either of those things. So I let fear speak. I let it talk about what I was feeling, what I was concerned about, and what I was afraid of. And I wrote all that stuff down. And then I said, hey, thank you for trying to protect me. And one of the things that I like so much is that metaphor of all of your internal wrestlings, all of your internal thoughts and feelings, imagining them as individual versions of yourself, and you're all in this big car together, and everybody's trying to drive the car. Except for the one person who should be driving the car, which is the core me, the truest self that I am. And fear keeps trying to take the wheel and drive us into the ditch so that we don't put ourselves out there and I don't put my work onto the walls of people. And instead I just stay stuck in my fear so that I don't get hurt. So I let fear speak, and then I say, hey man, you don't get to drive the car anymore. You get to be here. You get to say some things. You get to have an opinion about how we drive this car, but you don't get to drive anymore. Yeah, then maybe that sounds all woo-woo-y and weird, and I'm not saying like whatever. My point is, you have different parts of you, different parts of your being that are all trying to get your attention, and it's good to address those parts so that you can operate as a whole. So I let fear speak, I took back control of my own life, and now I'm working in the direction that will allow me to thrive creatively while embracing the reality that I'm afraid, but not letting that fear be a tyrant in my life. That's what I encourage you to do. Whatever that looks like. You need to type it out on your phone. Not my preferred option, but go for it. You want to write it out in your journal? Great. You want to go get a counselor? Great. There's some really good ones out there. Talk about it with your spouse or your loved one or your best friend or your mom, whatever. But don't let that stuff get bottled up. Don't try to reject the fear, and don't let the fear be a tyrant. Just let the fear speak. And I guarantee you, if you do that, once, twice, however many times it takes, you will move forward in a way that feels authentic, feels genuine, it feels nourishing. You get to be your best self out in the real world. The more I sit in meditation and contemplate this method for overcoming fear, the more I find freedom to be the creative person I was made to be. That's what I hope for you. That's what I want for you, is that you can go out and be who you were designed to be. Whether that's a creative, whether that's an architect, whether that's a mathematician or a scientist, whatever you were uniquely designed to be, man, that's what I hope you're able to do. Free from the lack of fear, free from the tyranny of fear, but fully in the reality that you feel fear and it's okay. You can still do really cool things in the world while feeling some fear. And that's all I've got for you today. It feels so good to be out here. Thank you for checking out the channel. Please make sure and do the subscribing and all the other important buttons that make sure that you're attuned to what we're doing through the studio. It's a beautiful day. I think I'm just going to sit here for a little bit. Let the wind whisper in the trees. Take a couple of deep breaths. And keep moving. Till next time, keep climbing.